Yes, that's also depravity, because that urge is a natural, sublime, irresistible, God magnetic force energy. Sex is everywhere. There will always be sex. Sex is rooted in the number 6. 6 and sex go together, okay? The Star of David, the Seal of Solomon, the male phallic and the woman uniting.
Now,
God blesses sex, not all forms of sex.
let me ask you this,
The
and
highest God.
I'm going to kind of drill into this because this is a deeply rooted belief, and I want to make sure that we address it and we upheave it if necessary with enough force. Because I have a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, and I know many believers who understand that celibacy is a gift from God. They refer to St. Paul, for example, that in the 7th chapter of Romans and other places in the book of Corinthians, 1st and 2nd, where he talks about, that he would rather that we be as he is, celibate. So you're saying that celibacy is not a gift from God, it's not a pure gift. It is a degeneration.
No. No. Self-inflicted celibacy, which is of the kind where if the individual's soul has not yet exhausted the experience of physical sexual contact with their partners, then that would be very harmful for that individual, because they constantly carry the urge with them, and they are flagellating themselves and abstaining aesthetically, when abstinence is not. It's not about abstinence. That celibacy, that kind of celibacy that is spoken about in the scriptures, is the same kind that Thomas H. Burgoyne speaks about in his book, The Light of Egypt, The Science of the Soul, Volume 1. I recommend everyone get that book and read it, about sex. There's a magical chapter about soulmates and sex, okay? And he explains also that eventually the celibacy that will be practiced by all of us is where we don't need to connect our genitals and touch sensually. We will, through our Taurus fields, we will have a different kind of sexual activity, and it will be like dreamtime orgasm on steroids. Bliss. It's bliss. It's bliss. It's our nature. I'm about to read about this, about our true nature, of our true source, which is at the very top. You are bliss.
Okay. So let me just clarify before you get into that what we're saying is celibacy that is self-imposed and self-inflicted, that is a depriving of natural urges, that is what is depraved, and that is left hand. But if there is no urge, if there's an absence of urge, then that is the appropriate expression of celibacy, not when it's been self-induced. Okay.
Yes, because eventually through the process of sublimation, the couples who are in love are progressing up the spinal column through the 7 chakras and establishing the kind of sex that dwells on those planes. Eventually, when they reach the crown chakra, they will be having sexual union there at the Lamb of God, where the alchemical marriage occurs, there at the highest, and they will be singing a new song and standing upon Mount Zion with the 144,000, which is all the sum of all the petals, the lotus petals of all the chakras, 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, 96, and 1,000, and you will have all that activated. So the man cannot activate the woman unless they're practicing this kind of sex. So you've got all these women who are staying at a low level of survival, power, and all of that earthy stuff in the lower chakras, forcing her partner to, ejaculate. And there will always be unwanted pregnancies, condoms, and all of this culture of, protection. Why do you have to protect when you're having sex? You know, why? If you're clean, if you've haven't ejaculated all the time and kept your body clean, your partner knows that your body's fluids are clean. You see, and so and this knowledge will purify the union, and the white light, as we just read, it will increase. And rather than having parasitic, lustful entities attaching to your aura, you'll be protected by seraphim, you know, and cherubim and Ophanim and all kinds of lords of the universe. You'll be having the kind of sex that Krishna and Radha are having, you know. They also are in sexual union. And this is eternal. And so what eventually will happen is, if you are in a relationship where a certain kind of sex is practiced and you wish to progress, well, that's, you know, that will occur in time as the individuals are growing. But certainly growing spiritually would be right-hand path, no ejaculation. If they're growing materially and they need more power, you know, like they need to build skyscrapers and go out to discos and pick up and build houses, and everything's material, and that's where they're creating. You see, some people are spiritual creators. I've always been a spiritual creator. I've been a musician all my life, an astrologer. You know, I was also a Jehovah's Witness knocking on people's door. So I was creating in the spiritual realm. You know, I was composing songs. That's not material. So, you know, this type of creativity is spiritual, okay? It's right hemisphere. Nothing wrong with building houses. I love to practically build things too. But I create on all planes, and same should be with the children of God. We progress from the material to the spiritual, because the spiritual is higher and better and purer. And so wherever you are, don't get stuck there. You know, move on. There's always better kind of sex. You've got to try and find it. And it's hidden from you. And Krishna's the one who's having it with Radharani. And it's a secret only in that you're being distracted by ejaculatory left-hand path, false prophets, like Pinocchio was distracted, like the prodigal son was distracted, and you're not getting to the best juice because you're stuck at the bottom feeding. Yeah, we'll do another hour. I can just put this content up. If you're watching my screen, I'll just put it up for you to read later, okay? Can you see my screen? Okay, so just go to Wikipedia, folks, Vamachara, okay? There it is. It'll tell you. Please read all of this. Please read this carefully and listen. And here is the converse term that is used, and that is Dakshinachara. Okay, so a Vaishnava is a Dakshinachara. He's not a Vamachara. Okay, the Shivites, those are Vamacharas. Anything goes. Okay, so that's the left-hand path. Okay, learn about this. Click here too. Click Mancha Marka. This will blow your mind. And this stuff here, how the left is different to the right, and everything that is left is totally the opposite of the right. And so this is what is confusing people. Everywhere there is corruption, the left. Okay? Now, please click here too and learn about Mahabhuta and the difference here between Panchatattva here, Panchatattva and Panchamarka. Okay, the 5 M's. Here you will find and learn about the Agori. These people are cannibals. Okay, and you can go on YouTube and look at the Agori, and you watch them. You see they urinate on each other. They eat dead dogs that have putrefied. They put their hands in rubbish bins and just tip it all over their faces and eat it. This is debauchery. Okay, there's all different extent of left-hand path debauchery, but it's all debauchery, and it leads to down and west. Now, also go in here and look at the term Mayavadi, the impersonalists who teach an impersonal God or a no God. These are also atheists. These are also to be warned about. And this is a beautiful short article. I think I'll post all this information on Facebook for everybody following. Sorry? Yes, well. Here, look. I'll leave that there slowly. That's one page. I'll leave that there slowly. That's another page. And then with time permitting, we can read this. But this is for the viewer. So this show today is going to be totally a resourceful show. Okay, I've packed it with resources. I've done it deliberately. This is how I do shows. I do different styles of shows. This one's a resource show. So make that known in the title of the show, which will be called Vaishnavism, the Right-Hand Path. Okay? Now, we'll get back to that. Here's Vaishnavism. Please read this, guys. This is so beautiful. Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna, Rama, Narayan. Here are all the names here. There are 10 names. Look at these, okay? There's more. These are prime names of God. Then there are secondary names of God, okay? Jehovah is in there. Allah is in there. Allah is a prime name of God. All of these names, all of them are beautiful on the right, and they're all ugly on the left, okay? Corporate Christianity comes from the left. They're killing. They're eating pigs' bums. They're ejaculating. They are silly, naughty boys. Okay, please read this. So just go straight to Wikipedia, guys. These are great articles, great resources here. Vaishnavism. Then go to Sanatan Dharma. This is a good article here. Sanatan Dharma. There it is. Okay. Okay. And then go to... what was I looking at over here? Krishna Baal. There was a... Yeah. See here, can you see this, Cosmic?
Yes, I see your webpage, yes.
Can you see me? What am I clicking on?
Sola Krishna, Bala Krishna.
Beautiful. Baal Krishna, Ishwara Krishna, Yeshua Christ, Ishwara Krishna, Bala Krishna. Have a look at the Western version of Baal Krishna, folks. Have you ever seen this word? Christo Baal?
Wow.
Yeah, that's Christ and Baal. What does Christ have to do with Belial? I think that's in one of Paul's epistles. What is Christ got in common with Belial? Well, it's the same thing. They are the opposite of each other, or they are the same thing. It matters not. Christ, Baal, Baal Krishna, these are the names of God. Okay, Baal is Baal electricity, Emmanuel electricity, El electricity, Bell sound, sonoluminescence. Okay, so if you're on the syncretism, that is true syncretism, and you're not following fake syncretism with those prophets who lead you round and round in circles, forever learning but never coming to an accurate knowledge of truth, you will know all the expressions that I am including in this presentation. You'll be up with it, and you will follow along and get it. All right, so some questions.
All right. Let them roll in. Let them roll in with us. While we're doing that, let me just go ahead and say to the people who've been with us, thank you guys so much for your interaction. And I know they've been eating this stuff up alive, Santos, literally right from your mouth. And I want to get some of the questions in um, while they're ruling in. I know I was overlooking some things. Well, let me ask one question while they're ruling in, which is talk to us about again the non-ejaculation birth process. How does one do that? How does that happen?
Well, you see, I don't personally know, but it is known. That's the point. In that book
Mm-hmm.
of Samael Weun, um,
Samael,
Aun Weor,
what, yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
I think it's Aom Weor, and it's Samael. Samael is Mars.
Right.
This guy was a Colombian in. I think he was well versed in Rosicrucian right-hand path teachings,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he died about 30, 40 years ago in Colombia. Great teacher,
He was
and
a
he
Gnostic.
wrote that. Huh?
He was a revivalist of Gnosticism.
Gnostic, right-hand path.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so what were we saying?
About how to give birth without ejaculation.
Okay, so he explains that in that book, and also in the video that I mentioned before, Sex, the Secret Garden to Eden. It's talked a little bit about, because it's based on that book, I believe. There's a connection between that video product and the book that I just read from. So now, what they explain in the video is that once upon a time they would go to get pregnant, they would go to the priest on a special moon, and this was called a honeymoon, where, yeah, and so honeymoon sex was practiced. This is non-ejaculatory conception of children, immaculate conceptions. They happen. They do happen. And they have to happen. Eventually we will go back to that kind of sex where we are conceiving with non-ejaculatory sex on the honeymoon at the right time with the right honey dripper. So so the priest was the initiator and, the coach of the experience. And so they used to, and one would go to the temple to learn the white tantric practices. The temple prostitutes, they were left hand. That was left hand. See, even in the Bible, it talks about the time when the temple prostitutes infiltrated the religion of Israel and were fornicating in the temples.
Ezekiel chapter 8. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's left-hand path. That's the left-hand path of Jehovah, not the right-hand path of Jehovah, the Lord of the universe. Jiva, Shiva, Jehovah.
Now, somebody actually just emailed me a question. Okay, but I'm going to get to the question I have in my email in a second. I want to take some more emails from those who are live here in the chat. You guys have definitely been cooperative with us. Let me go ahead and readjust your screen here. Santos, are you done screen sharing or you want to show us something else?
Oh, so I'm still screen sharing. Yeah, pretty much. Stop screen sharing, and now I'm back on. Okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right, there we go. Let me go ahead and bring you back down to size there. All right.
Okay, so...
Okay, very good question. Very good question. So how does this info apply to single people?
Well, they still get a sexual urge, don't they? So they still have to practice non-ejaculatory sex. They call it, whatever they call it. It doesn't have to have a name. So, again, the point is they have to. You can learn about that anyway in the video. They talk about that. There is a way for singles, but the perfect matrimony is with a partner, with a loving partner. Okay. But that doesn't mean if you don't have a partner, you're not going to be prohibited from going back to heaven, Eden, the Garden of Eden, in the crown chakra sexual realm, you can still get there, but it is more difficult, okay, because the two are better than one, as the scriptures say. And besides, each soul is really only half a soul. We're not complete souls.
Wow.
We are still, our soul is still half. Jupiter, Jesus, is the principle in the universe which divides souls after they come through the portal of Saturn. Jupiter is there to, and Jupiter boasts that he is the divider of souls, so that forever they would, so that forever souls would walk about the earth looking for their soulmate.
I have a question here. Says, can you ask Santos about when women should not have intercourse? Is there a certain time, whether astrologically or otherwise?
Well, you shouldn't be practicing any kind of sex, overeating, anything immoderate during the 3 days when the moon is in your sun sign.
Okay.
So the moon goes around 29 days, and she's going through 12 signs. If you are Aquarian, when the moon is in Aquarius, which will be in about, well, hang on, let's say, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, if it's in Aquarius and you're Aquarian, that's when a Christ seed is being born in your solar plexus. So why would you risk consuming that Christ, that psychophysical germ which is born in the womb, the spiritual womb of both a man and a woman monthly, when the moon transits the native's birth sign? If you're having some ejaculations and intoxicating liquor and barbecues and hot dogs, that seed's gone. So there's no raising of it. You just get to find out about it in another life, or another time, or next month, when you should stop being so lazy as to indulge in sensual gratification and not want spiritual gratification. So those 3 days a woman should not be indulging in any kind of sexual work. I would say it's work. It's not. You don't have to, because it can be holy work devoted to your loving bond with your partner. You can say, hey man, we put aside 1 hour every day, and we look into each other's eyes, and even if it's just looking into each other's eyes and holding each other and supporting each other and comforting each other, have sex that way. You don't have to get naked, but whatever. But it's got to be a holy thing that is going on. Sublimating should be in the background, not just a greedy little experience. What's in it for me? No, there's work to be done there. It's sexual work. It's sexual. It's good work. It's the good work of transmutation, because then we get married with our higher soul and get united. You can only unite. You can unite with your soul partner and soulmate anytime on this plane, if you're lucky. Most people don't. In the book that I mentioned before, and by the way, you can get this book through my website and through Amazon. That way you're supporting Syncretism and the Syncretism team. I now have all the books from my presentations, all of them, and my niece and her partner have done this for me. Now you can go there and you can click on this book through Amazon, and it will support Syncretism and the team, which is growing and which you are a part of as well, Cosmic. We've got now a nice little community of Syncretism and a hub where we can actually bring better Syncretism to the world, like these shows. Now, in this book, there's a beautiful chapter about sex. Okay, let me read some, if I've got time.
Sure.
So if anyone's got a question, I'll find the spot where it talks about it. And so, okay, the mysteries of sex.
Chapter 4.
So that's the Light of Egypt, Volume 1. This is one of the best syncretism books you could possibly ever acquire, and Volume 2. Volume 2 would be better for beginners.
Okay.
But you must have, if you're going to call yourself a syncretism and not a real one, not a fake one, you need this book in your library and Volume 2. Number one. Thomas H. Burgoyne, The Light of Egypt. And this one's dealing with a little bit with sex, but deals with everything.